Guys, good morning. Keith at Crypto Bullseye, and today we've got a big altcoin update. I said that I'd go over each and every single one of your altcoin requests in the YouTube comments, in the Discord group on X. That's exactly what I've done, guys. So we'll be going over what measurements need to happen for these alts to run, because we're having a bit of a green day at the moment. We need this Bitcoin dominance to drop. Why do we need Bitcoin dominance to drop? We've had institutions buying up and buying up. We had the Bitcoin halving, which was near an all-time high. That's never happened before. Remember, the markets rhyme, they never repeat. So that's the first thing that's different. We've had to wait for Altseason. Why is that? Because institutions have been pushing and pushing Bitcoin. They've been buying up Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been eating away at the market cap and eating away at the market cap. Those same people have been shorting Ethereum. What's that, guys? That's causing a negative reaction. It's increasing the dominance. It's bringing the altcoin dominance down in comparison to Bitcoin. Now it is Ethereum's turn. So we're going to be going over what Ethereum needs to do next on top of each and every single one of your altcoin requests. So to clarify, we've got Theta, we've got SUI, we've got EOS, we've got XRP, we've got RSR, we've got ICP, we've got Cardano, we've got HBAR, we've got Link, we've got XLM, we've got Ski, we've got Grass, we've got Litecoin, we've got HBAR, we've got Quant, we've got DOT, and of course we've got Ethereum. So lots to talk about today, guys. Let's dive in. And of course, we're going to start with Bitcoin, the market leader. That needs to move first, and that needs to give us indications as to whether the confidence is going into the alt market, guys. How do we know if confidence is going to go into the alt market? Bitcoin needs to lead the way. Bitcoin needs to put in a new high. And we're getting confidence because we've got a reaction from the red count here. That's a 78.6% retracement from this previous high. And then you've got the green count here, guys, which is from this swing low to the swing high. So the green count, we had a 38.2% retracement. This was a strong possibility of coming back to test this level before we pushed up. Does it mean it's not going to happen now, guys? It potentially could happen now. That's what we need to look for. That's what we need to monitor. But the main thing is this dominance, putting in this higher low, rejecting at this, the lower high, rejecting at the lower high, and then we're waiting for this push to the downside. Once that happens, guys, that means that the altcoin market is eating away at Bitcoin. It's taken away from Bitcoin. It's added to its own market cap. Collectively, that's increasing the market cap of altcoins, decreasing the market cap of Bitcoin, and bringing Bitcoin dominance down. And that's what we're waiting for, guys. That's what we've been waiting patiently for. This has been 3 years in the making, this ascending wedge. An ascending wedge is a bearish pattern. What happened last time? We got this, top of the channel, Altseason. That was 2021. Top of the channel, Altseason. That was 2017. We're at the top of the channel. We're waiting for Altseason 2025. And guys, you see when you zoom in, that lower high, this move here and that move there, look how much more wiggle room it's got until it gets to the next support level, then the next support level, the bottom of the channel. Guys, you think that altcoins have run at the back end of 2024. You haven't seen nothing yet. Anybody that's been within crypto for the last 2-3 years, you haven't seen what an alt season looks like. You haven't seen what an alt run looks like. When you get this big acceleration down to these support zones, the surge in altcoin outweighs the surge in Bitcoin by a huge amount, guys. Bitcoin can go up. Bitcoin can go 120, 130, 140, guys. The altcoins will do 3, 4, 5, 10, whatever against Bitcoin. And that's why the dominance comes down, because their market cap increases. But what you have to understand, guys, is they're speculative assets and they need to be treated like speculative assets. That's why people, when they're in fear, go into the dollar. When people are in fear within crypto and they want to stay in crypto, they go into Bitcoin. So those are your two safe assets, guys. You've got your dollar and you've got your Bitcoin. What happens when people flood into the dollar and people flood into Bitcoin? Bitcoin dominance increases. People are not buying speculative assets. Altcoins go down in value. And then people go and buy the dollar. They'll hold stable coins, waiting for that confidence in the market to be able to give them conviction that they can start making those gains. Guys, when you look at an alt season or you look at a cycle, 4-year cycle, you look at alt season, you've got 10, 20 weeks max, guys, for alt season to get the major part of the run out of a 4-year period. That's why it's hard to get. So we're waiting for this. We're waiting for the lower high. We want a lower high. Once we get a lower high and we come back down and drop this channel, that is going to be a really, really strong sign that we're going to get alt season. Next thing, guys, the main metric, and we're creating a bit of a bull flag here. This is total 3, total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, excluding Ethereum. What's it done, guys? It's held its 200 daily moving average. Above the 200 daily moving average, you're bullish. Below the 200 daily moving average, you're bearish. Remember that, because we're going to look at that with the altcoins very shortly. So total 3 is looking strong. It's creating a bull flag. Once we get a breakout, and once we get a break of this level here, 926 billion, told you 1.14 trillion. We've got little resistance all the way to 1.14 trillion. Once we break 1.14 trillion, we're breaking the previous all-time high of the 2021 cycle. That is my exit plan starting, guys. That's my distribution phase over a 10 to a 12-week period. And people keep asking me in the comments, why is it a 10 to a 12-week period? Let me just lay it down on the table, guys. I'm not expecting to pick highs. I don't know it's going to be a 10 to a 12-week period. It could be 8 weeks, could be 20 weeks, could be 25 weeks. I don't know, guys. But by capitalizing and distributing over a 10 to a 12-week period, that allows for one thing. That allows me to bank my gains during a distribution phase. So what's a distribution phase, guys? This is what happens. You've got a break, you've got a close of the all-time high of total 3. This is the 2017. Oh, sorry, that's the 2017. This is the 2021. So that is your alt season, guys. This is your alt season. When we look at the Bitcoin dominance, you can see clearly that was the 2021 alt season. That was the 2017 alt season. And we can just zoom out onto the weekly and we can find out how long these alt season lasted from the top of the channel to the bottom of the channel. 2017, 23 weeks. 2021, 20 weeks. So diminishing returns, you expect less than 20 weeks going forward for this alt season. You know, one thing, this channel's descending. This drop isn't going to be as big. That means the gains are going to be diminishing in comparison to 2021, in comparison to 2017. However, the gains will still be big on altcoins when you get this drop down to these next support levels, down to this, down to this. Once you get to the bottom of the channel, guys, that's where you need to be panicking. Once you get to this level here, about 48%, you've got your weekly moving average, your 200 weekly moving average. That's going to be a strong support. This is going to be a strong support. That was resistance there. That was resistance there. Look how much altcoins run, guys. When you get a little move like this, you see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin. This is the weekly chart. And when you see that, you start seeing big surges in altcoins, some of them 2x, 3x, 50%, whatever it is, guys. They start outperforming Bitcoin. Now, look how big that candle is in comparison to this drop. That's what an alt season is, guys. That's when things really outperform. What will be the metrics that give us confidence for that, guys? Ideally, it's going to be QE. Ideally, we're going to get a rate cut. Ideally, we'll get a surprise rate cut. We don't know that that's going to happen. That's what we're waiting for, because that will create the conditions from a macro perspective, start refinancing world debt, start putting new money in the market, start printing that money, sticking that money into the economy, making people feel a lot better again, and then going through a period of stimulus. That's what we're waiting for, guys. So we look for the measurements. We've got the dominance. We look at the dominance. We look at the total 3. Once you get a break and a close of the all-time high of total 3, that is my distribution phase, guys. This is the accumulation phase. That is my distribution phase. That was the accumulation phase for the previous period. That was the distribution phase. So we're not looking to pick tops. We're looking to capitalize and distribute. Dollar cost averaging out, guys. People don't talk about it. Dollar cost averaging out. Talk about dollar cost averaging in. It's a good strategy. People don't talk about the exit side of it. So the dollar, we know that the dollar needs to drop. We've got downward pressure on the dollar. You can see that we're putting in lower highs. If I just zoom back into the daily, you can see we've got a key level here. We're building some support. We've lost the 200 moving average. Above the 200 moving average, you're bullish. Below, you're bearish. The dollar is below the 200 moving average. That's bearish, guys. That's good for us. DXY, exactly the same. Look how far away it is. There's the 200. Putting in lower highs. You're putting in lower highs. We've got the downward pressure. And it's looking like we're ready to make another move to the downside on the Dixie. That's strong. That's strong. Next thing is Ethereum, Bitcoin. We look at the two things. This is your Ethereum season. This is your Bitcoin season. Ethereum bleeds against Bitcoin during Bitcoin season, guys. Bitcoin season, you're putting in lower highs, you're putting in lower highs, you're putting in lower lows, you're putting in lower lows. Something's happening now. Once you get Ethereum to start outperforming Bitcoin, and we're at a major resistance level, we've got upward pressure here. Dollar's got downward pressure on the dollar. We've got upward pressure starting on Ethereum. Once we break these levels here and get above this 200 daily moving average, that's going to start the run for Ethereum, where it outperforms Bitcoin. And when Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin, you get Ethereum season. Within Ethereum season, you get alt season. So it's looking good at the moment, guys. And we can have a quick look at Ethereum to see how that's performing against its dollar pair. And you could see that it's just hovering below its 200 daily moving average. So that's going to be good once we get a break and once we get a close. The next resistance point for Ethereum is $3,328. As far as the S&P is concerned, guys, we had a big drop on the S&P, and we can just measure this. There was the high. We had that massive capitulation wick that created negative reaction within the markets, that created fear within the markets, that created a huge sell-off. When you get a huge sell-off in the S&P, when you get a capitulation, that creates an even bigger one in speculative assets like altcoins. So we've come back down, guys. We've broken the 78.6 of this previous retracement. So it's looking like that's going to come back, hold support at 5,862, and then potentially new highs already. So we've seen Ethereum. Let's go through all these altcoins, starting with EOS. So EOS above its 200 moving average. You've got one thing happening here, guys. You've got a golden cross. Golden cross is when the 50 period move is over the 200 period. That's happening now. It's going to happen today. That should act as support once you come back down here. So how do you play this move? You're in this channel here, in a descending channel. You need to break out of the descending channel. You could stick a trend line on here, guys. That's going to be your momentum line. Once you drop that, expect a further level to the downside. Once you drop that, you've dropped the 200 moving average. This needs to hold as support, guys. And you've got double confluence. You've got triple confluence, in fact. So you've got a trend line there. So how do you play it? Breakout, breakout. Stick a trend on there. Once you've got a break of trend, you know that that's a higher low. Once you've got a higher low, guys, that's where you protect yourself. Once you get a break, you understand that there's a high probability. That's your protection. Shooting for the previous highs. What does that do to risk to reward? 3.98. So XRP next. It's been one of the big winners, hasn't it, during this cycle. So above its 200 moving average. This one's already had a golden cross. It's currently trading at 2.35, $2.35. So we're in a bull flag here. Aim of the game to beat the bull flag. This is going to test as support. So if this comes back down to this level here, you've got support, you've got support, you've got a golden cross. That's sitting at $2.20. $2.20. So you want to break out of the flag, guys, but that looks like a good level for me for support, the $2.20 mark. Where you're wrong, obviously, below the 200 moving average, below the 50 moving average, around $2.06. So $2 is going to be a psychological support. And clues look left, you can see that this is a strong support line here. That looks good, XRP. ICP next. You've had a break of trend, guys. Once you have a break of trend, you know that that's the potential, that that's the higher low. Once you put in a higher low, you've put in a base. That's your momentum line. That's your protection zone. Your 200 moving average is sat at $7.94. $8 is going to be a strong resistance point. So you can create a zone here from the $7.94 to the $8. That's going to be your resistance point here. However, from where price action is now, that's a move of 48%. So it looks like it's had a break in the short term. You can stick a trend line on here. How many touches? 1, 2, 3 touches. Wait for the breakout. Once you've got a breakout, then you've got the 50 period moving average. That could be your support. You've got your 20 period moving average to fall back on. You understand that it falls below there. There's a chance that you're going to come back down, test this trend line. If you lose the trend line, you're coming back to these lows here, $4.19. So that's ICP, guys. Cardano next. See, Cardano is trying to get above its 200 daily moving average, 81 cents it's sitting at currently. Once you get above the 200 daily, that's looking rosy, guys. And we need to come back and test the $1.34. That $1.34 is the big 38.2% retracement from its previous 2021 bull market high. That was the rejection point there. That was the rejection point there. Once you break and close above $1.34, you've got little resistance all the way to the 61.8, which is sat exactly at $2 on Cardano. So you can wait for the break on there. Once you wait for the break, you know that that's the low, 71 cents. However, if you don't wait for the break, guys, you can come back down, test this previous support. That would take out the previous low. Once you get a break, you understand that that is the low. That's a higher probability move, guys, because it comes back, tests the 50 period moving average, and it tests this previous support base. So I'm waiting on Cardano. We've got Link. Can you see how these charts look similar at the moment, guys? Some of them are above the 200, some of them are below the 200, but the ones that are below the 200 are trying to build up there, and you can see that they're creating bull flags. So you've got a momentum line here. Link, it's currently trading at $15.75. So you've got $15.75, you've got your momentum line. You can wait for the breakout. Once you've got a breakout, then you understand that's going to be your resistance point, $17.91. Once you break that, the 38.2, all the way to $23.20. So yeah, waiting for that one. XLM, below the 200, above the 50, above the 20, holding the 20 as support. You've got your 61.8% retracement here. That is going to be your next resistance point. That's 30 cents. So you've got a lot of resistance here, guys. You've got the 30 cents. That's your 61.8. Then you've also got the 200 period moving average. So your zone here, 29 cents, all the way to the top, 32 cents. Once you break that, 38.2% retracement is 42 cents. So that's nearly a 2x from where price action is now, however, or 50%, should I say, guys. However, I'm waiting on that one because that is strong resistance. Now, look at this one. This is new. I'm not sure what this is. It looks pretty high risk. We haven't even got a 200 period moving average because we haven't got enough data to build 200 days worth in there. So this one's looking good, guys. Once you've got a break of this, you can look for the next resistance point. Once you've got the break, next resistance point's up here. You've got 12 cents, then you've got 17 cents. All-time high, 45 cents. Looks risky for me, that one. Small amount of capital if you're going to be trading that one. Right, what's this? Grass. Never seen this one before either. You can see a clear support zone that was created. That was resistance. Resistance, resistance, resistance. See, that was resistance. If we come back down to this level, that's going to be a good level for me. That is sitting at $1.92. So if we come back down to $1.92, that'll be good. You've got a 200 daily moving average just about forming there. Potentially that could act as support. However, there's not much to go by there. So that's what I'll be waiting for on grass. Litecoin. Litecoin again is trying to break this 200. You've got a resistance point above the 200 as well. You can see we're all at resistance points now. We're waiting for Bitcoin to decide exactly what's going to happen next. If we look at Bitcoin, you can see, I know we showed you Bitcoin earlier. You look at Bitcoin, you can see it's trying to break its all-time high. If Bitcoin breaks its all-time high, that's going to give conviction for Ethereum. It's going to give conviction to the blue chips. And then ultimately the risk curve will go down into meme coins, into high risk. So next, what were we on? We're on DOT next. So Polkadot, 200 daily moving average, that's resistance, $5.57. Again, wait for the break. You've got your momentum line here. Wait for the break. Potentially that could come back down to the trend line. If it comes back down to the trend line, you get the break. You protect yourself below the previous low, shoot in for 200 moving average, 3.14 risk to reward. So Quant next. Quant has broken its 200 daily moving average. We had a golden cross down here. That's holding support. If you can come back down anywhere to $93.20, that's looking really good. Not sure it'll get down there, guys, but if you can get that, that looks pretty good for me. Small amount of capital on Quant. So it does look pretty good, actually. I'm going to write that down because I'm going to look for a trade myself on that. QNT. Right, next one, Theta. Theta's a little bit of a, it's got a bit of movement there, $1.48 to its 200. So it's above the 50, it's above the 20. You can see that this is going to be a support zone. That's what we're going to fall back on. It's nearly there now at the moment, guys. That support zone is sitting at 86 cents. You've got a break, or nearly got a break, actually. That's what I'd be waiting for. I'd be waiting for a break here. We potentially could come back down to this level here, which was previous resistance. That would coincide with the 50 period moving average. That's sat at 77 cents, currently trading at 89 cents. So I'd prefer, if we got an equal measured move here, 1-to-1 equal measured move after this big move here, and then another move to the upside, break out these support levels. So I'll be waiting to come back down around about the 77 cents level. RSR, exactly the same thing, guys. Below the 200, that's sat at 0.009807. So break of trend. Next thing, guys, you could do is stick in your RSI and your stochastic RSI. Remember, if you're above the 50 on the RSI, you're bullish. When you're oversold and you're putting in higher lows on the stochastic RSI, guys, that's a powerful thing. So we're in oversold, we're at higher low. That's a powerful thing. That's indicating potential break. Once you break the 200 daily moving average, your next resistance on RSI is sat at 0.01070 from where price action is now. That's a move of 100%. Right, okay, that's about it for me for now, guys. Get yourself in the Discord group. This is where I take all the calls. I can go through all the YouTube comments, guys, but there's so much spam, it takes me ages. But get yourself in the Discord group and drop all your calls in there. I'll be happy to cover them in the next video. That's about it from me for now, guys. Take care of yourself. See you in the next one.